Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back. Can you hear me now?
Woo, welcome.
There we go.
Good.
Welcome. Bringing freedom to potential. This is our coach and coaching for relevance. Randy Swaim, so much to him, to his accolades, which he's very humble about, but a little overview, and I know we're going to talk another good story or two about leadership and how he's helping people, companies, corporations, especially executives all over the world with coaching.
Good point. And I appreciate, kind of one thing you said there. So yeah, well, because that'll be a little bit aligned with kind of what I'm going to bring on this. So hope you've had a good week.
Oh, better. Well, we had 2 feet of snow. So 2 feet of snow and then more snow
wow.
today. Kids have been home for 3 days from school, let alone they had a week vacation of a break. So it's been rough in New York, Long Island, wherever you are. But we're good.
Wow.
We're excited, looking for the sunshine.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, I remember what it was like there when I lived up in Niagara Falls. So I'm very much aligned with what you're saying. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And your week, anything new?
Basically just been busy and getting all this set up and all that. So been doing good and kind of working over at the airport as I do. It's where I bring a lot of the sort of coaching perspectives and the neuroscience awareness and all and all that. And but it's sort of a busy time with all that's going on. And but it's good. I appreciate what we're doing and sort of how we're doing it, and hopefully the difference that we make.
Beautiful. How are you going to inspire us today? Where have you been all week? Fill us in, and looking forward to hearing some positive, uplifting stories that's going to help someone there today.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do today, what I was going to do today is bring a little, because, if you think about the stories that make things positive, certain things that you got to be aware of and not do. And I'm going to mention one of those things today, that sometimes you find leaders doing this, or managers or different people doing it and all. And I'll just share one experience this week, where I saw this and I said it stood up, and it's also going to bring in a couple of the neuroscience aspects, that as you know, as a master neuroplastician, I'm with NPN Hub and Institute for Organizational Neuroscience in Germany, and understanding how your brain is getting in your way or not is a key aspect on what you're trying to accomplish. And I'm going to mention a couple of the neurotransmitters, the chemicals that the brain releases, because they are the two that sort of drive this problematic part. And true leaders want to be aware of when this may be happening, either with them or with their people, and what they need to do about it to make sure that that does not carry over and does not continue. And so we'll kind of talk a little bit about that.
Perfect. All right, bring it on.
Okay, well, I tell you what I will do is I will simply mention the circumstance that happened this week, that I saw somebody do something, and then I'm going to mention the neuroscience, the neurotransmitters that the brain releases, the two that come out that are kind of aligned with that, and what the fundamental distraction is in that issue. And you do find some people that are managers or whatever that sort of have that kind of mindset when they're looking to try to make a difference or whatever. And leaders have to understand the clarity on that and understand that when they see that happening, and what are you truly going to do about it? Because it's not just pointing fingers and threatening and dictating kind of thing, but it's helping people truly understand and know how things have to be different. So that's where I thought I would sort of start out today with this. And what I'll do is it's kind of interesting because it's something that does bring out the basic mindset of this, but it's basically what happened when I was driving a car today. Of course, being a jet pilot and flying, driving cars and all that, never really had any big accidents or anything like that. But I was driving my car back from the airport
Oh
um,
yeah.
uh, just a couple of days ago, and what I've found sort of amazing because, and one thing that I do, if I find somebody that's got a turn signal on and they have to come over here, I always kind of slow down and let them have some distance and
Yeah.
let them come over.
Respectful
That's just
driving,
something that
yes.
I do, kind of thing. Yes, but this particular situation, I was in the far right lane here, and the car that I'm talking about was in the lane right next to it. And this car, this driver, he was about of probably 2 or 3 feet maybe in front of my car. The tail end of his car was only about probably maybe 2 or 3 feet in front of my car. And I said, okay, cool. He's driving, cool, kind of thing. Well, all of a sudden, now he never turned on a turn signal. He never flashed his turn signal. He never implied anything. But what he did was, and what was interesting is he didn't kind of do this a little bit. So it probably he didn't pay any real attention to it, it seems like. But what he did is he just went whoop and pulled over in front of me. And his car missed a collision with my car, probably. I'm just being a little bit goofy, but about that much because it was that close. And when I saw him do that and he was coming into my lane, I applied the brakes crazily. I had to, kind of thing. Tires weren't skidding or whatever, but slowing down to make sure that I didn't hit him. But I also took the horn and went, kind of thing like that on it to let him know. And he didn't do anything. All he did is he went up to and again, never turned the turn signal on at all, but he
Wow.
went to the next exit off of the road and turned right. And of course, I just kept driving forward and stuff. But here's what I want people to understand the two aspects of this mindset. And when you understand this sort of mindset in your brain, and you can find managers sometimes or people in business that whatever that operate with this same aspect, and it's not what you want, it's not good because the two neuroscience chemicals that I've
Mm-hmm.
shared before in a past presentation, but the two that are particular with this are the concept of norepinephrine. And you remember, norepinephrine is
Yeah.
the concept that causes people to either be afraid and run away or to just start a fight, kind of thing. That's the norepinephrine what creates. But the other chemical that is sort of related to this is the dopamine. And you remember the dopamine fix, and people kind of refer to it as a dopamine fix because the dopamine chemical is the one that tries to get you to call attention to yourself and pat yourself on the back and just, applaud yourself and be applauded and things like that. And so those are the two chemicals that are sort of involved in those kind of situations. And the big thing that and I'll put it in just very simple terminology, but because this is the way some people think in our world, kind of thing. But it's like that, my job is not to kind of uh, compute the good strategy for getting over there and doing this and accomplishing this or getting there, kind of thing. But people have a tendency to almost think that my job is to just make it so that nobody wants to be a part of it and just wants to stay away from me, kind of thing. And that's kind of sort of what he did. But he came, like I said, he came more closer than you can ever imagine in causing a collision and everything and what he did. And I didn't change the car at all except for, applying the brakes and everything. But the bottom line is one of the dysfunctional aspects of managers or of people that are trying to lead teams or whatever is if in your mindset, your whole your whole mindset is based on dopamine or norepinephrine, and your whole mindset is simply saying you want to make it so that nobody wants to be a part of this. They're just going to stay away and leave me alone, kind of thing. And it's that sort of mindset when you look at the the neuroscience and kind of what goes on in the brain and all that. When you see those kind of aspects, that is key to understand where that comes from, how that gets into people, and how they apply it and what they're really applying it for, because that's the dysfunctional aspect. And if you have people that are applying that aspect to their team, to their organization, to people that they're trying to connect with or whatever, guess what? You're not doing it effectively and you're doing it dysfunctionally. And you're not being a leader if you're doing that. And so it's just something to think about that, as I mentioned, that people need to have clarity on it as to what they're really thinking, you know, and um, and like I said, I just as I shared with you in the driver's aspect of it, if I see somebody that has a turn signal on and is looking to come over into my
Mm-hmm.
lane or something, I'll usually slow down if I have to a little bit just to give them some space and let them come over. That's just the thing about it. But again, this guy did not even initiate the turn signal, did not initiate anything. He literally just pulled it over like this. And you know what? You're calling, not only are you possibly calling something that really destroys somebody else's car, but it could be something that where the accident destroys their life. And you know what? Depending on the speed and kind of what you're doing and where you're doing it and all that kind of stuff, that can generate somebody dying in the process of it or whatever. And so there's aspects about it that could be very deep and longer, in terms of causing a problem for you going forward. And yet the problem with it sometimes is when you have people that that their mindset is not even considering what they really should do. It's a mindset that says, "What can I do that just causes people to get out of my way?" And and that's kind of what he was doing. And if that's the way somebody is thinking, you are completely missing the boat, and you're showing that you are not a qualified leader. You're not a good team member. You're not a good person to make results happen and things of that nature. And yet, you see a lot of people in society that, not everybody, and I'm not saying most people, but you do see a lot of people that you can tell their entire mindset is to try to see how they can get everybody to just capitulate to them and control and things of that nature. And that is not what you want. That's not real leadership. And so what I offer to people is if you have somebody in your team or somebody on your team, because guess what? If you're a leader, you're not just leading into your objectives. That is one thing you're doing, but you're also leading and developing your people as you go through that. And so if you see somebody that, if you see yourself bringing that negative aspect in, you want to know how you're going to change yourself to get your thinking better and to be able to truly understand and envision what is a lot more successful and realistic. But if you have somebody in your team that you see evidences that they are doing it that way, or sometimes they have that mindset, you have to have a real sense of a good coaching approach where you can ask wonderful questions and get them
Mm-hmm.
really processing the truth and the action and the what is truly needed. And if you can't sense that, because a lot of people in today, world, they just have the sense of just telling them what to do, and you just shut up and do what I tell you to do, and things like that and stuff. You're not getting the job done if you do that. But if you connect with that person, and who knows, sometimes it might be just sitting there while you're having coffee and you have the conversation with them or whatever, and you ask them the right questions, and they get a real sense within their vision of what they're learning, of how they have to reapply this, how they have to kind of rethink it and all this. Because like I said, the the norepinephrine and the dopamine fix in this particular mindset can negatively affect that to a certain extent. And so understanding how you're really going to build the team,
Yeah.
and not just make these little control freak things go on, but how you're really going to control that aspect of it. And so, like I said, it's got some neuroscience aspects, but if you're really trying to correct somebody who is doing that a little bit, and you recognize that with what they're doing and how they're interacting, maybe with their other team members, or maybe with clients, or
Yep.
some other people in the organization or whatever. If you see somebody that is doing that, and you recognize that, it's not just about telling them and pointing fingers at them.
No.
It's about what questions do you need to ask to get their true mental neuroscience processing going in the central part of their brain there, kind of thing. Now, how are you going to help them get their processing going? Because a lot of people in today's society have a thing where they just want to give you their version of the right answer and just pat themselves on the back and leave it at that. That's not what you want as a leader. You want to understand how your people are going to grow and really become, and not just make excuses, but truly make a difference when these kind of things happen. And so uh, you know, when you're trying to bring a coaching facilitative style to help your team grow and become more effective in how they're connecting with each other, how they're truly doing this, and they're staying away from some of those negative aspects, you have to understand how you're going to really connect with them. And also, one of the things that you need to do is find out how you're going to build your relationship with them in such a way that they welcome having those conversations with you. Not just because you're telling them what to do and threatening them,
Yeah.
but in many cases, you're asking the right questions, which help them truly sense and uncover the real radical success. And so it's just something to think about, that it's one little aspect that like I said, a number of people in today's world have this mindset of just, my job is to just make it so that everybody else just wants to leave me alone and let me do it, kind of thing. If that's what you're really thinking, that's not what you want. That's not what you want in your team, and it's not overly effective. And 9 times out of 10, if
Yep.
somebody on your team is having that reaction as their central core
Mhm.
thing, what you're gonna find out is that one day down the road, they're gonna do that in such a way that the outcome is much more negative and ridiculous that you would have ever expected. And so, one of the things as a leader in developing your team members is, understanding how you really include this aspect and get them to overcome some of that.
Yep.
And like I said, the central thing of what I wanted to share today is this aspect, because you do see people out there that do this,
Yep.
where their whole mindset is just making it something so that I can do whatever I want, and everybody else is just going to stay away and leave me alone. And maybe they're afraid of what's going to happen, or whatever. They're just going to stay away and leave me alone. If that's the mindset that anybody has that you recognize in your team or anything like that, you need to bring the coaching facilitative style and the neuroscience awareness
Yep.
to help them truly change that and develop themselves to be much more much more effective with that. And so it's just something to think about. I thought I'd bring this time, this one aspect. But like I said, that car thing, that was a good example of this particular aspect that I wanted to bring. And I will tell you this, that there's a number of times, a lot of people that I've worked with in aviation um, have made amazing comments to me because the way that I brought things was a coaching style and asking great questions and things like that. And it helped people really kind of gain an insight into something that they didn't have before or whatever from their own awareness and their own growth and development and everything. And uh, I've been amazed at some of the comments I've had people say to me about how I do that. But the bottom line is, it's not just about you just trying to control people. Like I said, the big negative part of it is that if when norepinephrine and the dopamine fix both get into the control zone and everything, that can happen sometimes. And really, you don't care about what's right. You don't
No,
care about what's really going to be effective. What you care about is whatever you do, everybody else is just going to, crawl away and stay away from it.
so true.
And you know what? If that's your mindset in your team, it is very dysfunctional and it is not getting you where you want to be. So again, this aspect of how you got to bring some coaching awareness and how you really connect with your people. If if you gain insights where you got a couple of people on your team that are sort of doing that, maybe with each other or with clients or whatever, you need to get a real picture on what you need to do about that. And it's not just pointing fingers and dictating,
No,
but it's really growing them and helping them develop to something that's a lot better, to a better understanding and better decision making. And
so
so I just thought I'd bring that this time. And like I said, it had that one little picture, but it brought some the coaching perspective. It brought some leadership. It brought some neuroscience awareness to it because those are all key parts of when you're developing your team, particularly when it's
got it.
maybe a challenging situation or it needs to get better. So
No,
I figured
thank
I'd
you.
just bring that with today for the listeners.
No, thank you. You always bring so much to the table and inspire so many. And do you get a break ever? You taking any vacations soon?
Well, I will tell you this, that I have plenty of vacation that's available to me,
Ah,
but since I live alone and I just live alone and all that, and I love spending time with my non-biological great grandkids and
yeah.
some family members and things like that. And so I don't, to be honest, I think the last time that I took any vacation was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and simply because the time off that I have here is a good relaxing time. It's a good thing. And like I said, in fact, just a couple of days ago, I spent some a few hours with my non-biological great grandkids, and one of them, the girl, is actually almost 16 years old. So here in about 2 months, she's going to be getting ready for her first driver's license, kind of thing. And of course her brother is 13 years old, but I love them to death. And
Aw.
every and actually and I will say this, staying in touch with people that you care about and love and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every Sunday, I send a text to them and to the adult loved ones that I, have in family and stuff. And I just say, Infinite Sunday, Papa love to, but and I gave them their names and all this kind of stuff. And then on Wednesdays, and I shared this morning with them, I send a text to them that just simply says, maximums Papa love to you, and I give them their names and all this kind of stuff, just so that they constantly get this sense of, Papa Randy's love and everything. And so I just, but spending time with them and all that. And since I live alone, there's not like a lot that I have to do. And with my
Yeah.
flying career and with a lot of the places where I have gone,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? It's been a great life from,
Aw.
from the North Pole down to Panama and from England all the way to the West Coast, kind of thing. I mean, it's just, I've seen a lot. and I've experienced a lot and all that. And I know most of my adult family members that are, was my father and my mother and all that kind of stuff. They all passed away, and so they're not around anymore. Um, so it's just later on in life, I guess. But I'll tell you what, do I enjoy the time? Yes. Do I make uh, aspects of it
Mm-hmm.
and send messages? Uh,
Oh, and now I'm losing you. No, say it isn't so. We've been good the
what's
whole
that?
time. I said it. All of a sudden, I lost you. I'm like,
Okay.
we had good reception the whole time until that. Repeat the last thing you said. I didn't hear what you said, sweetheart. Sorry.
Oh, I just said I just appreciate the time that I have with them, but I also just appreciate being here where I'm very close to where
Yeah.
the great grandkids are, where I can go down and meet them and spend dinner with them and take them out for dinner with a couple of the family members and that's always worthwhile. So yeah, so I haven't had a lot of vacation. Now, I will say this, that sometimes if PBNN, they fly me up to New York City for the professional
Yeah.
television studio and all. If that happens, then yeah, I'll take a couple of vacation days for that for sure. But
Oh gosh.
if I have something like that coming up, would I take a vacation day? Yeah, sure would.
All
But
right.
uh, for just being here, I'm glad what I've got. I'm glad where my life is right now, and I appreciate what seems to be happening and what it seems like I'm bringing to and a lot of people that have given me compliments and comments and stuff on just what they got a sense of and everything. I appreciate that.
All right. Oh, well, always a pleasure having you, Randy. How can we contact you?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's always a pleasure being here with you, Jill. I appreciate you very much, my friend. And people can go to my website, coachingforrelevance.com. And if you go to the home page and you scroll down the home page to the very bottom, it has my cell phone and my email address. So people can contact me there. And I've shared this before, but I'll say it again that if somebody just wants to have a chat, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to be making sales calls with you or anything like that. But if you have a need and you need us, yeah, we'll come up with something for it. But if somebody just wants to have a discussion and talk a little bit, uh, we can do that. So just appreciate people and appreciate anybody listening and hope they have a great rest of the week.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day and looking forward to next time. Enjoy, darling. And I can't wait next week. Hopefully, the snow will be melted here. Feel that spring in the air starting to come soon here for us in the Northeast. And I don't know, that always
Yeah,
motivates
yeah,
me. It makes me want to do better, be better, smile more.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
you got that year round. You're lucky where you are. But I know the Niagara Falls, I know you know what it's like. So thank you again for
Yes,
uplifting us all here.
I definitely do remember Niagara Falls and all that. So yeah, good deal. But yeah, it's a pleasure being here. As I appreciate your friendship and us just being on the show together and stuff.
Ditto, ditto.
So we'll look forward to maybe doing it next week too.
Sounds great, sweetheart. Enjoy your day. Bye.
Okay, take care.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.